form of scapegoating. We saw it at DOD when people refused the vax, they were scapegoated and driven out. We saw it at FBI when whistleblowers talked about spying at school board meetings and at Catholic churches, they were driven out. And now I take note of the fact that certain people at the Pittsburgh field office have been put on leave. And I've also seen the story change where initially the Secret Service was blaming folks in local government, and then there was admission that there weren't appropriate responses to requests for additional manpower. So what I'd really like to do with you is bring us into that process, because Senator Hawley now has a whistleblower saying there was a manpower request that was coming out of Pittsburgh, and headquarters Secret Service was putting downward pressure on the local agents to try to reduce the intensity of that manpower request. So give Congress a little sense, how does that get developed? And then what should we think about the fact that someone is saying that headquarters was trying to get people to not make requests of enhanced protection?
Well, I can give you an example from personal experience. I saw Senator Hawley's tweet. The Secret Service is going to rely on this and what they're trying to do now, and you're accurate in your analysis about how this cover-up is starting to work. What they're going to say is, well, there was no real formal request made. But here's an example, and then I'll tie something that happened to me. Imagine you're working for a company, a public company. It's actual accountability. Stock will tank or whatever. You can't make products that'll kill people. You'll go out of business. If you do, there's a penalty. But imagine you're told by your safety guy, you're the CEO, and your chief safety officer says 50 to 60 times, hey, again, this widget has a defect, and if we put this out, it's going to kill someone. And it's clear after the 50th time that the CEO doesn't care. So when the 51st time you tell the product blows up, the CEO's going to say, well, he didn't tell me yesterday. Well, he didn't tell you because he told you 50 times before and you ignored him. So what they're doing now is Ron Rowe, the acting director, who is the deputy director, the number 2, who is unbelievably, again, got a promotion out of this. A guy was murdered and someone got promoted, which is obscene and disgusting. He is part and parcel to this whole day-to-day ADPO, Assistant Director, Protective Operations, Deputy Director, Director chain that makes management decisions. When they tell you early on, we are not doing this for President Trump, Congressman. We're not doing counter-sniper teams. We're not doing CSU. And then they say, well, on that day, we didn't deny assets. You didn't have to. You've been denying them for 4 years. I was told by a direct source, this is the quote, that at Mar-a-Lago, they were begging the DTD, the Donald Trump detail, begging for enhanced security. We can't secure this place like this. And one of the quotes from one of those 3 people I just told you about was, we don't secure nightclubs. Really, what if a nightclub owner runs for president? You don't secure you secure whatever the hell they tell you to secure. That's not your job. That is what happened here. And that's what they're going to rely on. And that's where you guys, I think, have had the guts to take this on. Do not let them fall back on euphemisms and word games where they go, well, that specific day we didn't say no to any assets. Have you in the past? How often? Matter of fact, how many counter-surveillance teams have you actually dedicated? What percentage of Trump sites? How many CS teams? There's a story out there that was the first time counter-sniper Secret Service assets were ever used at a Donald Trump site? So you're telling me your most threatened protectee had no professional Secret Service overwatch? As Ben showed, these guys are more than skilled and competent. They don't need the Secret Service to tell them how to do their job.
I think that gets to this intent question that Congressman Mills framed up perfectly at the beginning of our discussion. Congressman Mills says the key question here is whether this was your run-of-the-mill government incompetence or whether you see features of such just disregard for the duty at hand that you believe there's some malice. And in his opening statement, Mr. Prince says when the incompetence reaches a certain point, you can impute the malice to that. And what I think you have unique experience in is, well, like this culture of denying requests, like to Trump, or a circumstance where not even the Donald Trump detail, but the folks in the Pittsburgh field office who are not normally on the Trump detail were saying, hey, just based on this, we might need more, and they were discouraged from even making those requests, so they couldn't be denied. I think you can give us a lot of insight into the type of questions we need to be asking and of who to understand that culture, because like you think of the Secret Service, they're off with a number of of protectees, right? Of all kind of different profiles and different, I guess, priority, for lack of a better term. And so, like, what should we think about imputing malice at a point in which Donald Trump, one of the most threatened people on the planet Earth, is having to endure these denials and this culture of limited protection while you're seeing other details, beefed up substantially?
I think, and I don't think I put this out yet, but I'll put it out there now. When I was there, it was definitely not a political enterprise. It just wasn't. I never once, working for President Clinton, Bush, and Obama, had anyone even remotely implicate a political motive for any decision whatsoever. However, from the commentary directed at some of the agents in charge of the Donald Trump detail, which I have heard about, clearly, it appears that for the first time in American history, we have a Secret Service that is making decisions that may not be all political, but may have a political tinge to them. So what you're saying, I would love to say, Congressman, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. But I tell you with a pure heart, and I'm being absolutely candid, I have no skin in this game. I don't work there anymore. I am not their PR guy. I run my own business. I absolutely believe Donald Trump and an enhanced security posture he should have had would have made him look more presidential, would have facilitated the logistical operation of him traveling. I think they were concerned about optics and making him look like a big shot or whatever, word you want to throw out there. And they were making some of these decisions based purely on grade school level politics.
I don't want to believe that, but I didn't want to believe it with the FBI either. I didn't want to believe it with the NIH either. I mean, a lot of these agencies that have been, I think, subject to political capture, we want to think of them as above that. And we all spend time around Secret Service. We're inspired by their patriotism and the willingness you have to literally take a bullet for someone if necessary. But just like in the military, just like at the FBI, I worry about the political capture happening at headquarters, and then that culture informing decisions in a way that's very damaging to the country. So what Mr. Bongino just said ought to be the most important work of the United States Congress, to figure out if these decisions were run-of-the-mill incompetence that you've got to deal with the better tech and the better processes and the better HR and getting rid of the DEI. But if it's something even darker and more devious than that, that must be rooted out, because what we've seen at these other agencies of government is it does not cure itself. It has to be excised, and that investigation is the most important work we can do. I thank you guys for leading this effort, and I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Gates. With that, I just want to go first to you, Mr. Prince. You said you roughly have about 3,500 at the peak of Blackwater, correct?
That's right.
Secret Service currently has approximately 7,000, approximately. What was your highest annual revenue, if you don't mind me asking, give or take, for that many operations?
Ooh, for that, the protective mission was about 2,500 to 2,800, and that revenue would have been around $600 million.
So $600 million for that.
Again, that's deploying in a war zone where 41 of our men, my men, were killed in
So
action.
safe to say, if you had $3.3 billion allocated to you, you could have done some even more miraculous things with resource and assets, correct?
I'll give a simple comparison. Around 2005, George W. Bush wanted to grow the size of the Border Patrol. I remember being called to a congressional hearing then because they compared what it would cost us to train a new CBP agent versus what the federal government was going to take. And our figure came in at 1/3. And their figure was actually higher than sending someone to Harvard for 4 years, and that's to train a guy for 4 months. That's it. So it's the federal government blows money. Like I said in my testimony.
And my point is that the failed metric of government, whereby the more we spend, the better outcome we receive, is a flawed and failed measure, which is why we're at $36 trillion in deficit. And the reason I use that $3 billion, as you know, Mr. Prince,
is this all a
that's the
BlackRock
actual amount that appropriators have
to
allocated to
take
Secret
over,
Service,
to privatize
which means
the
to Dan
military
Bongino's comment, they shouldn't
Secret
be
Service.
utilizing past equipment to serve tomorrow. They should have more than enough assets and resources in place with a $3 billion budget. Would you not agree?
30 trillion
Certainly.
in debt.
And I want to go to you, Mr. Bongino. I want to point out some things because culture failure, as my colleagues pointed out and others, I want to mention a couple of things. August 14, 2024 is reported failure that a Secret Service agent abandoned her post without permission to breastfeed child before Donald Trump was scheduled to arrive in North Carolina. August 12, 2024, it was reported that a Secret Service special agent who was an official site agent for the July 13 Butler PA rally is under investigation for posting videos and photos for protective assignments to social media. July 27, 2024, a Secret Service agent covered the security camera of a local salon in Pittsburgh, Massachusetts before an event featuring Kamala Harris where the salon was closed, but opened it up without approval and utilizing restrooms for an hour and a half while the building's security alarm was going off. July 2nd, 2023, it was reported that a former Secret Service Director Cheadle and senior agency leader sought to destroy the cocaine found in the White House in July of 2024. The evidence was not destroyed due to pushback in individuals in the Secret Service Forensic Service divisions. May 2024, a man enters the U.S. Secret Service Miami field office through a propped open door and was not removed from the building until the following morning. April 24, 2024, a special agent assigned to Harris's detail had a mental breakdown where the agent is reported to have physically attacked the commanding agent in charge at the base after verbal disputes with other agents. Sometimes during 2023 and 2024, at least 2 people breached President Obama's Hawaii residence. Though the president wasn't there at the residence, his 2 daughters were on premise at the time. April 2023, a drunken intruder entered the home of National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan in the middle of the night. The man was able to gain access to Sullivan's home despite 24/7 Secret Service protective services in Sullivan due to the sensitive nature of his position. Now, I want to go back to a comment that you made, Mr. Bongino, where you said none of these problems are new. I think just the list of those that I've just mentioned shows that this is not a new problem, but it's existed for quite a while. And with a $3 billion annual budget, I would think that we would start evaluating those mistakes to make those corrective actions. Would you agree with the things that I've listed, with the budget that is allocated, that there should be a much better provision of security for protectees than what you're seeing today?
Oh, there's zero dispute about this. You know, Mr. Prince's company had accountability. People fire him and find a new company if he lost a protectee. You can't fire the Secret Service. 18 U.S.C. 3056, they're obligated to protect him. The Secret Service has a culture problem, Congressman. I was an instructor in our training academy in Beltsville, Maryland for 3 years. I ran operations over there, taught investigations over there, spent a little time in the Control Tactics Unit. I was there for 3 years. Unfortunately, I can't count on one hand. I would need probably 2 and toes as well to count how many agents who could not meet even basic protective functioning skills and criminal investigative skills, but who met other criteria completely irrelevant to job performance, who were pushed through and told with a wink and a nod, this woman or man needs to graduate. Well, why? They're clearly incompetent. Every instructor who's encountered this person has said this person's incompetent to the point where in judgment drills, they're killing the protectee in the judgment drills. That's kind of not what we do. You're not supposed to shoot the protectee yourself in a simunition drill. And you would say things, you would hear things, excuse me, from special agents in charge, and I encourage you all to look into this, how the training center works and how they graduate students, where they would say, well, that person files a lot of complaints, like EEO complaints. Okay, well, are they real? That sounds serious. Sounds like a serious thing to me. I take that stuff seriously. And they would say, well, they file them enough that it's become a nuisance and they're not really legitimate, but because this person files a lot of complaints, we need to graduate them. Some of those people now, matter of fact, not just a few, but many are out on protective assignments now. And again, this is not—
So what you're saying is that DEI plays a major role, not meritocracy, with regards to the current culture that has been fostered.
No, not a. No, the major role. The Secret Service right now is dominated by DEI. It's not a role. It's the role. You ask agents on the president.
And I think that everyone's heard me say before, DEI equals DIE. You know, DEI stands for didn't earn it, and
well,
we need to be very cautious in how we.
They really are pitching BlackRock
I just want to move on briefly with
to
the time.
replace
Mr. Schaefer,
the
I just need you to kind of
military.
confirm the nose, and when I say confirm the nose, you'll understand. Didn't take the communication platform that was given by local forces, correct?
That's correct.
Didn't take the surveillance drone offered by local forces, is that correct?
That is correct.
didn't show up for the morning briefing to ensure that last-minute planning could be accounted for.
That is correct.
Didn't take any necessary measures to talk to the Kubota dealer, who was 400 yards away to the 12 o'clock direct line of sight to even see whether or not they could gain access to that rooftop or talk to the owner.
That is correct.
Did not access the water tower, which has the highest vantage point, and provide oversight that would have also looked at the AGR building.
That is correct.
You know, I'm looking at all this and I'm noting a lot of no's of things that didn't happen. And unfortunately, because we've allowed this to go on for weeks and weeks, we're now going to be faced with the fact that they're going to be memorializing all these documents to reflect July 9, July 10, July 11, dotting I's, crossing T's that wasn't actually going forward. Now, I want to ask you something, Mr. Prince, because you know this all too well about counterterrorism operations. We know for a fact that we have an open border with roughly 10 million people that's come across. We know that cartels are cheering on President Joe Biden as the employee of the month every single month when you think about 2018, where you had $500 million in revenue from cartel to now $13+ billion in revenue.
For some reason, I hate
If
Eric
you knew
Prince's
a president
suit,
was coming in that was put things like Romania and Mexico back in place, secure our
Something about
borders,
this
and cut
guy is
your
so
revenue,
evil.
you have the training, you have the assets, you have the revenue. Would you deem that person as a threat and want to take that individual out?
It's a very simple answer, because you can see what they did in the last Mexican election that just happened a few months ago. They killed 27 conservative candidates, assassinated while campaigning.
And noting that you had the successful counterterrorism operation that eliminated the shadow master, Qasem Soleimani of Quds Force, as well as for Abu Mahdi al-Mohandes, who led the Iranian proxy militias of Iraq, would you deem that as them declaring a fatwa to increase your threat profile as an individual protectee?
Certainly the Iranians would see it as a risk worth taking.
And you also note that a question that needs to be asked of the FBI is that on July 12th, a 46-year-old Pakistani male named Burjan was actually captured, who had also plotted assassination against President Donald J. Trump and 35 elected officials. The question is how did you think an individual who's on a terrorist watch list landed in Houston, Texas, was questioned by the FBI, and I would love to hear his answers because they must have been spectacular, and then released, noting that this individual flew from Pakistan to Iran for 4 days prior to this? Would you note that as very questionable?
Again, you can put them in the long list of other people that don't belong here, that our federal government is failing to do their job.
Thank you. With that, I have run out of my time. I will now hand it over to the Honorable Chip Roy for 10 minutes.
I thank my friend from Florida, Mr. Mills. Thank my colleagues here. I thank you, gentlemen, for testifying here today. And I'd ask my staff they'd put the map up here on the board. And if you would please, the technology folks, would you please play the shooter on roof behind President Trump angle video? And as we get this queued up and we start to play it, I'm gonna ask you some questions.
He missed some fuzz on the back of his head. Oh no.
Through
poor guy.
the question that I'm wrestling with, a lot of Americans are wrestling with, which is whether or not the failures here that we're all observing, everybody agrees there was failure, almost catastrophic failure, and certainly catastrophic for Mr. Comparator and his family. But was there more? Was there willful blindness here? So if you could cue up the video, that'd be great. They've got that queued up. If they don't, then
You think Eric Prince gave that guy his Rolex?
Great gentlemen, so we're going to bring him up for Can we bring him up for a couple of minutes?
That guy's the most intense person I've ever seen in my life. Look at the way he stares at stuff.
See beyond the president, you can see the shooter moving across the roof. Now, I look at this as someone who is a prosecutor, had worked in the U.S. Attorney's Office, had worked in the Attorney General's office, not as someone who was a sniper like Mr. Mills or Mr. Crane, working the Secret Service. But to be very clear, the perimeter, the building he shot from is outside of the perimeter. And the video we can see him clearly just a mere 130 yards away. So here's the setup that I want to ask. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Bongino. Do you believe that you can just chalk up to mere incompetence that the Secret Service did not attend the 9 o'clock meeting for scheduling purposes? They literally just didn't attend. Can you chalk up, and just, I'm going to go down the list and just jump in. Can you chalk up to mere incompetence the conversations about the communications that we talked about before, where you didn't have a body present and they were using the cell phones, and they did not retrieve the radios, as Mr. Higgins has reported? Can you chalk it up to mere incompetence that they identified crooks about an hour ahead of time, and that the President Trump, was never removed from the stage? They didn't delay, they didn't hold him back, they didn't remove him from the potential danger. that the perimeter did not include the buildings around over here, and to the extent, should there have been a perimeter that was farther out, and to the extent that the perimeter wasn't farther out, that they at least make sure the building wasn't covered. Is that just incompetence? Is it just incompetence that there was no drone being flown and the drone was turned down by the Secret Service? Was it just incompetence that the shooter had a drone, as the FBI director testified in front of the House Judiciary Committee, that he literally had flying within a couple hundred feet of the stage the same day, mere hours before the shooting? Is it just incompetence, what we're hearing now about the whistleblowers saying that there were no canines? Was it just incompetence that there wasn't sufficient policing along the security border? Was it just incompetence that there was allegedly an abandoning of the post due to heat? That there was supposed to be someone on top of the roof and that they didn't get on the roof because it was too hot? Is it just incompetence that there was additional security requests turned down, according to the memos that we saw out of Senator Josh Hawley, and encouraging agents not to request to additional security requests? And was it just incompetent what we saw with respect to the police body footage, which I'll play here in just a second, if we could cue up the police body footage video, where you've got the local police talking about what they said to the Secret Service. If y'all could play that video real quick, and then I want you to respond.
Well, body's a good, that's a good word. I told them they need to post the guy over here. I told them that the Secret Service. I told them that Tuesday. I told them to post guys over here. I have no contact with you. What? No, we're inside. Alpha 1, Bravo 1. Thank you.
Okay, that's good. Thank you all. Mr. Bungie,
I told them to post
can you
guys over here.
respond to that?
I wasn't even concerned about it because I thought
can you respond to that?
Sure.
Can you respond to that question? Because that's what the American people want to know.
You know, Congressman, if you had just ended with your first statement and said, well, we may have screwed up the perimeter, you could maybe attribute it to ignorance. Layered incompetence always means intent, correct? So I'll give you an example. You're in a mall parking lot, it's 97 degrees, and you leave a kid in there and you close the door. Did they intend to kill the kid? Probably not. But how stupid do you have to be to do that? So in Secret Service training, you're basically taught a ring-based system, but don't think of it as rings. Think of it as a three-dimensional ring, like a bubble with rings. So you got this circle, but it's three-dimensional above and below. In that outer ring,
This
again,
guy's
this
fucking
is Secret
analogies.
Service 101, Charlie Brown encyclopedia stuff. This isn't like advanced level PDT, protective detail training. In that outer ring, you have.
Imagine you've got the
That outer ring is out
Metatron.
to about
You've got a
1,000
prism, some sort of
yards, which is about
geometric
what a
matrix
really
that reaches into
technically proficient
biometric
sniper can hit.
transdimensional space.
Why was the perimeter set to, again, absolute total incompetence? But then factor in the other things, and I just want to add a few more. How is it that a counter surveillance unit whose actual job is to detect, to counter surveillance, that's what they do. They're the best at what they do. We asked the question
So
during
BlackRock
the
basically
conversation we had
is
earlier.
causing
How is it
these
that they
events
missed this
so that they
guy
can
roaming
step in
around when the
and
police
cure
officers
them
clearly using their
and
good law
provide a
enforcement
solution.
instincts
And
said
this
we've
guy
got a
is
problem.
their
The answer is
top
because they
salesman, it
weren't
looks like.
there. Is that incompetence, or is that shutting the door in 97 degrees with your kid there going, I just didn't know? How did you not have a roof line 130 yards away secured when you're taught day one in Secret Service training that the effective range of a really quality sniper is out to 1,000 yards? How did you not have a drone? That not only did you not have a drone, again, this is where we get to the shutting the door in 97 degrees and pretending you didn't know. It was offered. They offered you a drone. It's unforgivable. And just think of the rings quickly, and I'll wrap this up. So in the outer ring, you have police officers, you have counter surveillance, and you have a protective intelligence team. Protective intelligence team is trained to go and find threats. They miss them. There's no counter surveillance team. The cops catch it, but because the comms break down, they miss it. In that middle perimeter, you have what they call post standers. Post standers they're not DTD agents. They're field office agents. They're not Donald Trump detail agents. Those guys were not even Secret Service. They were HSI, most of them, who were great guys and were fantastic. But that's not what they do. If you grab me as a former Secret Service guy and said, hey, Dan, can you go do a Homeland Security investigation? No, that's not what I learned. We are training Secret Service agents to do protection so we don't have to use other entities that don't do protection. So that's the middle perimeter. So that breaks down. The inner perimeter, as you just saw, and I'm glad you played that video, Envision that as what we would call the shift, the body guys, right? He's got a shift around him and supervisors. Everyone missed that guy crawling across the roof when he defeated the external, the middle, and the internal perimeter. You shut the door in 97 degrees. I'm sorry. Layered intent, layered incompetence like that is absolutely intent.
I've got another question on that, but I just want to ask you, Mr. Prince, real quick. Do you have any a relatively short comment on that? Can you dismiss all of this as sheer incompetence?
The question I want to have answered is if other counter sniper agents, officers, saw any person
I mean, they're right.
laying in a prone position with
But
a rifle pointed at the President of the United States,
this is all probably
do
just a
they
big
have
sales pitch.
authorization to take a shot immediately, or do
whole
they have to
thing.
get permission?
It's probably just a big
Because if
advertisement.
the Secret Service wasn't
Think
there
about it.
and they were laying at a stakeout for a bank robbery, would they have to get permission if they saw means and intent to murder someone? I don't understand why any of the other officers didn't engage sooner.
Mr. Schaefer, do you have any comment on that in terms of the engagement and the rules of engagement that were in place?
Yeah, absolutely. I can clarify that a little bit. So as a law enforcement sniper, we have a lot of responsibilities and inherited flexibility. One of those flexible procedures or statuses that we incur is known as compromised authority. Compromised authority in the law enforcement sense basically lays out the requirements for a deadly force response. And in that point in time, based on all the prerequisites that were identified and all the checks in the boxes that were made, Mr. Crooks would have met that level or that threshold.
I'll let some of the experts on that subject follow up on that. I think there's probably some more follow-up there. I just want to ask one last question in my last minute of time. Mr. Bongino, we talked about this before. I have seen credible information, the extent to which the shooter had significant explosives that were sophisticated beyond that person, or a sophisticated detonation device. And importantly, that his digital footprint is completely MIA, that his digital footprint is missing. And that how can a 20-year-old in today's time have no digital footprint?
We did it.
So,
I mean,
do you have any thoughts on that? Any comments on that? And that'll be my last question.
Well, 4 years of doing protective intelligence investigations with the Secret Service interviewed probably hundreds of people who have credibly threatened our protectees. I've never seen anything like it. If you would have told me it was a 60-year-old guy who had lived most of his life without a computer and for the last 10 years had been planning this, hard to believe but digestible. You're telling me a 20-year-old kid who's grown up in the digital era figured this out when he was, what, 13? To never
Eric
get an
Prince
online
does not want to
presence?
hear this.
We've seen nothing. Nothing. We're now 6 weeks in. There's not a Facebook photo. You know, it's
Still
incredible.
he
We
is.
know every single thing about these shooting incidents when there's a political narrative to be had by the media and the other side. We do. You know who their
not
high
Las
school
Vegas,
girlfriend was. Sadly, you know everything about these people. We know nothing about this guy. And sophisticated explosives, we have this massive law enforcement bureaucracy. No one's got
Prince's
him
hands
with an
are under the
online
table for
search
the first
history in
time.
a library saying, how do I build this? He's 20 years old. It just, again, it just defies logic. I can tell you, again, 4 years doing these exact investigations, never, ever seen or heard anything like this in my life.
You'll bet.
Thank you so much. We're now going to go into our second
Eric
round
Prince, could you please comment
of
on this?
questioning. And again, I appreciate the panel and all that you guys have been providing in regards to expertise and on-ground truth realities. We're going to continue to move on, going back to the Honorable Andy Biggs. You're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I want to just try to hit some quick questions. When Mr. Schaefer, you were talking to us earlier about moving to texting. The counter snipers were texting. What does that do with your ability to stay on glass?
Was a secondary or possibly even a third method of communication as it was utilized that day. The sniper teams in the law enforcement concept sometimes are not a team. Sometimes we're deployed into situations where we're a single operator. So we're not only responsible for the surveillance aspect of the service we provide, but also having that deadly threat ability on board. So that can be very distracting in that point in that day. that third level of communication would have pulled us away from our primary responsibilities to provide that deadly cover if needed.
Thank you. And Mr. Prince, you mentioned security bubbles, and I want you to elaborate on that because we've talked a little bit about the perimeter. And the perimeter seems oddly narrow in this particular instance. Can you talk about security bubbles and the perimeters here?
As Dan was talking, right, the normal of that bubble is out to 1,000 yards based on how far a capable sniper can take a shot. The fact is, clearly this bubble was less than 100 yards because they disregarded the industrial facility, the water tower, et cetera, and it speaks to the lack of seriousness of Secret Service leadership in how they were conducting these missions. I don't think they regarded Trump as a worthy protectee. They were doing the absolute minimum. And I say my greater concern is as you look at all the litany of failure is long and deep. And if it tips towards malice, that opens up an entirely different can of worms.
Right.
Because it's hard to be part of a republic with people that actually want to kill you.
Right.
Political disagreement, fine. Sell it at the ballot box. But if people don't want to sell it at the ballot box, then it gets sold by a cartridge box. And that's a very, very dangerous road to go down.
Right. And well, we could go on that. I know some of my other my colleagues might want to do that as well. But I want to get to one last point, and that before I run out of time, and that is another failure. I think everybody here is probably everybody up on this group anyway has been with.
Eric Prince is going to make so much money on the Civil War.
A protectee, and there's been some kind of security hold. I mean, we've just stopped, and you say you're going to hold. Why was there no security hold put on Trump at any time if you had some kind of individual? I mean that Ben, as Mr. Schaefer has described, actually did arise to a threat level. Why was there no security hold put on President Trump? Why was he allowed to go on the stage? Why wasn't he taken down? Why didn't we see a pause?
For me?
Yeah, Dan.
What makes your question even more impactful is every Secret Service site for a high threat level protectee has what they call a holding room, which you would guess is for holding the protectee. I see Congressman Gacy because it's actually called the holding room. The holding room is for things just like this. The holding room is let's say a congressman shows up and is a little late. There's an accident. They'll hold him in the holding room saying, enjoy. You all have been in it. None of this is new. You've been in the holding room. There's a Secret Service agent at the door. You guys have congressional hardpins. A staffer escorts you in. Every one of you has seen this or will in the Trump administration. This is not a mystery to anyone. Why was he put on what Eric had called, accurately so, the X? We use the exact same terminology as the military. The X is where that protectee or that limo with the protectee in it is. Why was he put on the X? You have an open threat. Ben has described and your timeline lays out was there for an hour. I'm not going to play any word games. Were they a threat or suspicious? Well, if you're a threat, it's because you're doing something suspicious. And if you're suspicious, it's because you could be a threat. These are silly, stupid word games. You know when it's not a threat? When your CSU or PI team goes and grabs the guy and determines he's not a threat. Until then, your question's accurate. You put him in the holding room, which is the point of the holding room.
Can I ask one more question? So I just want to follow that up. And you made the point earlier about counter surveillance. There were no counter surveillance teams there. But there's a public domain videos of him, Mr. Crooks, wandering around. Was there anything in his behavior wandering around that if you would have had a counter surveillance team there, it would have triggered an interaction with this guy earlier?
I'm going to answer yes, but respectfully, and I know you understand, the CSU and PI teams are trained in very specific behavioral indicators that would give off, and speaking about them openly would probably give operational knowledge to bad guys. I know you understand that, but the short answer is not only one, but many behavioral indicators he was giving off that if we could talk in a secure setting, you'd be like, how did they miss this? The CSU team would not have missed it if they were there, which they weren't.
Thank you so much, Mr. Biggs. We will now go to the Honorable Eli Crane for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Mr. Bongino, do you have any confidence that Secret Service has learned their lesson?
No, because I've been involved in a number of, we have 10 years in the Secret Service. I was in the training center when the Georgia grenade nearly exploded. And, you know, the only reason it didn't kill President Bush is because the guy wrapped it in a towel. That's it. It's the only reason he survived, because we got lucky. And the changes made from that lasted about a month. They added more magnetometers. And then basically the same problems resurface again, so no.
I want to read a text to you and see what your thoughts are on this. Do you know who Joe Kent is?
Who was
Mr.
that?
Bongino? Joe Kent, he's running for Congress right now, Special Forces guy.
Oh,
Army,
yes.
up in Washington.
Yeah.
This is a text he sent me on, I believe, Monday, August 19th. He said, "Hey, brother, I know you are doing an independent J-13 investigation. I want to share this anecdote with you from my experience with Speaker Mike Johnson's U.S. Secret Service detail this weekend. Bottom line up front, Speaker's detail was incredibly lax, failed to seal off all entrances to a very small venue. Johnson wasn't secured and very easy to access. Long version. We had a local steakhouse host my fundraiser with the Speaker. Location was only available after people RSVP'd. But the entrances to the steakhouse had Kent for Congress signs on the two entrances. One entrance was inside the hotel, one out on the street in a busy pedestrian area. I arrived about 45 minutes early to check out the venue and to make sure my team had stuff ready. I also wanted to see if the U.S. Secret Service had a checkpoint set up. I carry everywhere. I planned on leaving my pistol in a hotel room my team had there. I entered the hotel, followed the Kent signs into the steakhouse, and immediately walked up to the unsecured holding room the Speaker was in. He was on a call, so he did not notice me. Neither did any of his detail. His detail was inside the restaurant just BSing. No control over the two entrances at all. Once the event started, they put on a good show and looked the part. I can't interpret their intent, but they failed a basic, simple task: secure the two entry points, a shocking level of incompetence. The event was in Vancouver in the shadow of Portland, Oregon. Mr. Bongino, is Speaker Johnson, what's his job?
Well, that would be Capitol Hill Police, but it speaks to a larger issue with these security failures. What was mentioned about 3/4 of the way through that text, where everything becomes about optics. I'll give you just a quick example. You know, think about this. Why are Secret Service agents out there wearing suits? You don't see that with a lot of Israeli Shin Bet and others, because the threat over there is existential every day. I mean, these are little things. You're worried about optics and what people look like, you know, red ties on agents and guys who've got their shoes shined, when you're not worried about door kickers who are going to keep you alive. The good show part is a problem, and it's ubiquitous, whether it's DSS, whether it's Capitol, whether it's Secret Service. We have to start focusing on job tasks and not, you know, operational optics or who's got the freshly pressed suit on. These guys have to be out there ready to go into action and defeat that 15, 20-man Hezbollah team or group of Sicarios Eric's talking about before. This was a 20-year-old kid who broke them down. Can you imagine if they had detonated, taken out that fence line, and rushed a 10, 15-man team in there with rifles and heavy weapons?
I think all of us on. Can anyone hear me okay? Check, check.
start with this. When somebody says the prisoner to you, what's the first thing you think of?
Probably think of the word nightmare, because it came up so quick. And it wasn't developed. It was developing in Patrick's mind, but we were already rolling the cameras. So we were trying to get a grasp of what the series was about. And Patrick wrote the first script, Arrival, with David Tomlin. And it was really a question of sorting out, what is this village, what is this man, who are the people that's running it, what is their motives, what's his motives, where is this place supposed to be, should we let the audience know where it's supposed to be, are they the East, are they the West? I mean, all those issues were being discussed as we're shooting, which is a little scary. My biggest fear was, Patrick, I need scripts. How can I prepare a series if I don't have scripts? We booked all these stages at MGM Studios. Stanley Kubrick's next door making 2001 and wants to devour the whole studio. So I'm fighting him every day. So we have some space to make this series.
Damn.
And Jack Champagne can't design the sets because he doesn't know how many sets he needs. So we need the information. Sounds like the teaser, information. We need information, but I needed it. I think it was my first reaction when you say The Prisoner. If I think about my involvement in it, it was probably a nightmare experience at the time, at the beginning. But as The Prisoner, as the show, it's still a series I'm very proud of and that people know about, and I'm glad my name's on it.
Talk a little bit about exactly what it means to be a production manager on a show like that.
As a production manager, I'm responsible for basically breaking down each script and figuring out the best order to shoot in, with a combination of exteriors. And what happens if it rains? I have to make sure we've got cover sets to do that with. I have to make sure the actors are available, blah, blah, blah. At the other side of the coin is I'm totally responsible for the budgets and the money that's being spent. And all these shows had a price tag because Lou Gray got so much for The Saints, so much for The Avengers, so much for Man in a Suitcase, and so much for The Prisoner, but The Prisoner was pushing him because we were spending more than he wanted us to spend, I believe. They made all their series out the back doors of Elstree, Borehamwood, or Pinewood, or Shepperton Studios. Nobody ever traveled more than, 2 miles, 4 miles from the studio because it became expensive and dangerous. For Patrick to go 300 miles into the Welsh mountains where there's rain and mist and fog and this town which is full of tourists, we didn't have carte blanche there. So it was scary because we were committed to make the series. And in fact, it was the most expensive series being made at that time. The show was probably costing £60,000, which was probably $150,000 an episode, which is like peanuts compared to today. But at that time, it was a lot of money because The Saint was being made for probably $100,000. We were at least 40% more than all the other series. But I think I proved myself at the end of the day, so they kept me on the show. And actually, Patrick McGowan was the first person to give me a break as a fully fledged production manager on The Prisoner. I remember meeting him in a bar in Harrow. And, he's a formidable character when you first meet him because he's a loner. He's not easy to communicate with. He's a thinker, so he's weighing you up all the time. You have to be careful what you say, not out of fear, but he's very articulate and he's very intelligent. So he's not interested in idle chat. He's always learning and eager to find out how people do things differently. I definitely know that Pat was trying to take television to another level, which was to get away from just shootouts and car chases. And Patrick was very controlling of the series because it was in Patrick's head. It wasn't from a book. It wasn't a clear idea. It was basically in Patrick's head. And I believe it was a personal journey of Patrick's too. And his rebellion against so much that was going on at that time in terms of the computer age coming in, the Cold War. It's always talking about, Russia and Checkpoint Charlie and the Americans and satellites and too much observation of us as a human race, and he was just rebelling all the time.
Patrick was rebelling. David Tomlin was rebelling.
Right.
You were rebelling.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to reveal my age. I was 25 at the time, and now we're talking about 33 years ago. And that's the 60s, the late 60s. So I was going through my own rebel period because prior to working with Patrick, I just made a film in Berlin called Quilla Memorandum, which was all about the Cold War and spies, Alec Guinness. All these spy movies were being made. Michael Caine, Funeral in Berlin. It was a James Bond. I mean, everything was spy, spy, spy. After The Prisoner, I made Clockwork Orange because I was rebelling. I was rebelling against the system. I hated school. I hated the establishment.
So this guy was
I
involved in
hated,
Clockwork Orange and The Prisoner,
you know,
both like MK
the
Ultra
class structure in
films.
England. I mean, there were so many things for me to be resentful for and angry about in England at that time. And the thing that was very noticeable for me when I met David and Patrick is that they were definitely loners. They were definitely men's men. They didn't talk too much about stuff. And when they did, it was intelligent discussions. It was serious thoughts. Patrick in himself was a rebel actor, rebelling against the system in himself. Even by making The Prisoner, he was rebelling. He was doing something completely different. He was not doing the norm of typical, you know, late night viewing. So, I don't know, we just kind of clicked. And yet we didn't talk too much about it. I just think we were emotionally in the right place to make this kind of material. So it was easy.
Well, Patrick tells a story that he had it doing Secret Agent and had come up with this other concept.
I was told, whether it's true or not, that at the end of Secret Agent, there was a party in London from which there were members of Parliament there. And someone made the remark to Patrick of, so what does a secret agent do when he retires? Meaning the actor. Patrick, inquiring, said, what do they do with secret agents when they retire? Meaning the real secret agents. And from what I'm told, this gentleman replied, oh, we take care of them. We give them a house, we give them a car, we give them some pocket money, and that way they won't defect. Which I kind of believe. And I think that was the embryo of The Prisoner. I think that's where it all began.
When you started shooting, did you have an air date?
We started in September 66. And the first show was aired in October 67. I remember because I got married on the 21st of October, and the second episode came on the 22nd. And my wife said to me at the time, I cannot believe you're watching The Prisoner. We just got married. So that's why the dates are clear for me. But so if we started in September of 66, I don't think we would have air dates. They probably didn't know how to market the series because they hadn't seen what it was. Lou Grade's company, ITC, or ATV at that time, were probably getting nervous because we weren't delivering a pile of scripts for them before we started shooting. We had sort of 4 scripts that were not completely finished, and yet here we are going down to Port Merion. So there's probably concern about that. Let's wait. Let's see what Pat's come up with.
How did you figure out what you were going to cover, what you were going to shoot, where you were going to go?
And it's very difficult. I mean, this wasn't like just setting up a secret agent show where everyone's wearing contemporary clothes, driving day-to-day cars. I mean, we suddenly had these mini-mogs with pretty little awnings, and we had all these people wearing cloaks and straw hats and badges and blazers, and the weather was never consistent. So we'd be shooting scenes one day in the sun, the next day it would be raining. So we'd have to finish that scene off and then grab another scene from another script that rain would be okay for. So it was a constant jiggling. And every night we would probably spend hours with Patrick talking about the concept. Because every day we were learning about what was in his mind, and every day he was inventing. Because he wanted it to be so different. I would never get to bed before midnight. Never. I used to live in the house above number 6's, which Brian Epstein of the Beatles used to go and live in the summer, but it was a lookout over the whole bay. And that my bedroom was also an office, so I had to kick people out of my office so I could go to bed at night. That's how Rover came up, gin and tonic, looking up into the sky, you know, at 10 o'clock at night.
Let's talk about the Rover image.
obviously Patrick wanted something. Whenever someone escaped, whether it was by land, sea, or air, Rover could get you. How are we going to do this, Pat? We don't have time. We start in a month's time. He goes, well, figure it out. So I got these special effects companies to come in, and I said, guys, we need one to go on water, so we're going to have to find a baby hydrocraft. We need one to go on land, and he can do a 360 in a second. We need one to go up walls, because all these special effects are looking at me, so I'm stark and raving mad. So they went away, and we started shooting these 4 episodes, knowing that we had to deal with Rover within that month. But we didn't have Rover. And Rover turned up one day on this, as a go-kart with this horrible body on it. It looked like a cake on wheels. And it was kind of embarrassing. And, and also a disaster. So Pat said, what are we going to do? I said, I don't know. Let me get inside I was small enough to get inside the go-kart. And stupid enough, because once I got inside there, I couldn't move. I couldn't see where I was going. The fumes were horrendous. I think I almost died in there. And there was no control, and it just looked ridiculous, and we would have got laughed off the screen. So that was a real problem for us, and we mulled over it for about a day, and I know that we went down to that, where the ship is at the bottom of the hill, and there was a bar there, actually. That's where the restaurant was for the guests. And Patrick and I came outside with 2 very large gin and tonics and sat on the bench discussing what are we going to do with Rover. We have a problem. And I don't know what happened, but I know I let my head back like this and looked up to the heavens, and there was our answer, because I said, Patrick, what are those up there? And he looked up, and there was these weather balloons, miles up in the air, just hovering. And we both looked at each other. Let's get some balloons. And so we got the prop man the next day running all over Port Maddock, the nearest town, buying weather balloons, all different sizes. We filled them with air. It was hopeless. They're like great big blobbing balls. Then someone came up with the idea of helium. We pumped them up with helium, put fishing wire on them, and suddenly we could maneuver this thing to bounce around, and it looked really scary. And someone said, we need a shot of that balloon coming out of the ocean. I went, how do you do that? I had divers under the ocean with helium bottles and balloons, and we kept trying to inflate them. And of course, these balloons would just come out of the water like a rocket. And it took us forever. It took like 3 days to get one balloon to be inflated underwater for it to come out as a whole thing. And then one of the assistant directors, Patrick, said, let's see what happens when we push this in his face. And we got Seamus Byrne, who was the AD, to do it for us, like he was being eaten or smothered or whatever Rover does. And it looked horrendous when you saw that guy's face coming through the weather balloon. So that's how Rover was born.
Were there moments when you were standing in the middle of Port Marion,
yeah,
and you thought to yourself, what are we doing?
Exactly. What are these people doing? What are all these placards? What is that mini-moat? What is Rover doing here? Why are we here? I mean, Patrick would laugh about it sometimes. You know, do we know what we're doing next week, Patrick? I don't know. Let's wait, day at a time, you know? I think there were probably directors who said, if you get a call from Patrick McGowan, don't take it. Because it got around the industry. You know, they're making this series up there that is so intense and deep, and people didn't understand it, and directors like, I don't want to get fired off that show. I don't want Patrick taking over. And directors did get fired. And Patrick did take over because they lost their way. So there's a bit of a mess there somewhere, because Patrick couldn't keep doing everything all the time. So if a director had just come off the Saint, there would be a bit of the Saint in him. And then the editor would have to fix it if the material was there. So they had an awful job to please Patrick at the end, because once you put film together, that's it. That's it. You hope to God it's on the right course. Because this wasn't a series about a different story every week. This was a progressive series. This was a series that set you up from the beginning. There's going to have to be an end to this. So it had to continue on the line of, we mustn't let the audience get bored. We must keep them intrigued. We must keep them switching on the TV. And the hook always was, I will not break down. I will not give in. And changing number 2 was the secret to that. That was a very clever move on Patrick's part is that we didn't have the same number two every week trying to break him down, because that would have got really boring. We had different kinds of number twos. Number twos who prepared to go against number one and said, I want to do it my way, you know, or yes, sir, okay, I'll do what you say, or increase the dose. You mustn't do that. Increase the dose, you know, so those kind of conflicts continued, which you then enjoyed the number two character. So you wondered what the next number two was going to be like, and would he break him down?
There's one character besides the prisoner,
yeah,
who is in almost every episode.
Little Angelo, yeah. The butler. Yeah. I know. He's a mystery piece. He's the red herring. Is he number one? Yeah, he's great. That was another idea of Pat's. I mean, it's quite brilliant. You just put another wobbly into the dynamics of what we were trying to achieve with the penny farthing bike, little Angelo. Made you think about the characters. Wasn't just Patrick, number 6, and number 2 all the time. Other people were brought into it. My only confusion looking at the series 33 years later the other day was there's a lot of young people in the village. Now, what were they? Rocket scientists? What were they? They didn't seem to be old enough to me now to have what's worth having in this so-called environment. Some of them seem to be too young to me. You know, doctors, scientists, chemists, secret agents. I think they all should have reached a certain age before they were brought there to give all their secrets over.
How long were you actually in Port Mary?
We were there for the first month for 4 episodes. And then we would go back for weekends with Patrick on a Saturday and Sunday, or I would go down there with Pat's double, Frank Mayer, who did all his stunt work, and we would shoot bits and pieces for each show. So we probably went back there 2 or 3 times over the course of the first 13 episodes. We had to go down. I remember going down there to shoot Giants of Big Ben and stuff, and raft sequences, you know, in Many Happy Returns when he escapes on the raft. That became a nightmare for me because I had to go to the Irish Channel to shoot this raft that Patrick was on. And it was built out of real big logs. And I went out with about 10 crew on this fishing boat, and I said to this fisherman, have you got life jackets on board? He went, absolutely. I said, well, you know, I have to make sure there's a life jacket for everybody. And he went, don't worry, it's fine. It's all taken care of. Never assume. So we were out in the middle of the Irish Channel, and I had to keep going out like 60 miles because I could still see land, and I'm going to be like nowhere, 360, nothing, and Patrick's sailing towards somewhere. And we're towing this huge Kentucky raft, and suddenly a storm came up. And this guy is now chugging along, and the engine of the boat catches on fire. So I go, oh my God. I said, where's the life jacket? He goes, I forgot to put them on. I went, oh, this is getting worse. He said, don't worry about it. He says, Bernie, if you have a life jacket, it means you will take longer to die. You won't last more than 3 minutes in this water. It's freezing. I went, well, thanks. It's like, and so eventually I went to the back of the boat, and the rope, the raft was pulling the back of the boat to below the waterline, and all the stanchions around were being just ripped off. I thought we were going to die out here. And all these guys were at the back throwing up. And it's like, oh, my God, I'm in charge of this. I got to do something. And I had to decide to cut that raft loose, which was not a wise thing to do. But I did. And we eventually got back 7 hours later, and I called, you know, the local police, and I said, I have a confession to make. There is a, 16-foot by 16-foot, 12-log raft floating around out there, and it probably will sink a ship if someone hits it. Well, they just went berserk. And they sent out the RAF, they sent out planes, helicopters, everything. But we never found it. Anyway, that's just one little story of what we did on occasion.
Is there anything that jumps out at you that you say, oh, I can't believe we did that?
Well, episode 16 was actually episode 6. And it amazes me, having just run the series once again, how episode 6 falls into the last show, and yet we were 7 months away from that. And I don't know whether Patrick did not know how to finish the series, And episode 6 gave him the idea as a springboard into episode 17, Fallout, or whether he actually knew subconsciously. It was basically about number 2 and number 6. And it was about may the best man win. And whoever breaks down the other is the winner. And because these are two great actors, and because the set was a closed set, and it was just this black room, so there's very few people in that room, it became incredibly intense very quickly. And the characters took over the people. And it got very frightening because, especially when we did the fencing, and that is when the moment Leo McKern says, "You're scared." And McKern is like resisting violence, and eventually he does it. At that moment, it became incredibly intense. And when McGurn is winning over against number 2, and number 2 starts falling, you know, Leo McKern got into a serious heart problem. And it got that intense that we had to stop filming, and we had to get Leo off the set before he had a heart attack. I mean, it was because of the performance and the characters they were playing. It got incredibly dangerous. And Patrick was really trying to break this guy down. And Leo was defending himself, not only as a character, but as a person. I mean, they became the part. And I thought, oh my God, this is episode 6. I hope it's not going to get worse, because I can't bear this. I don't want actors being taken off sets having heart attacks. and it was intense, and maybe that's why Pat chose that particular show to be the prequel to the ending, you know? It was frightening. I was frightened, because I didn't realize acting could get to that level. And I didn't realize that actors will allow characters to take over themselves. But they did. It was a very intense show.
Patrick has said that when the last show aired,
right,
he had to go into hiding for a while.
Wow, so
I could believe that.
Because people were very...
He just said that the actors would like literally go into like their altars. Right? These actors would go into characters so hard that it was frightening. Right? And the show is like about MK Ultra, like altars and stuff being programmed. That's crazy.
Angry about how it ended.
Probably. Why would they angry? Because they didn't understand it. Yeah. And it wasn't conclusive like, you know, a storybook. You know, it's like, wow, he's left us up in the air again. You know, the public don't watch television intensely. You know, they're talking to their, how'd you get on today? It's a good show, yeah. Can you get me a cup of coffee, darling? I'm just going to get myself a beer. I mean, that's how a lot of people watch television. This series demanded that you don't go anywhere. You have to stay and watch every frame, because if you don't, you won't get it. And if you watch every frame, there's chances by the end of the show, you still won't get it. And when people don't understand something, they can reject it because they're frightened, because they don't understand it, or it can be intimidating to them. I'm sure the show was intimidating to a lot of people, but they were hooked. And you mean we've watched this show for 17 episodes, you've got us in every night, you still haven't told us where the village is, you still haven't told us what secrets you had, you haven't told us anything, you know, and you're going back to your home where you got drugged in the first place so it could all happen again. You know, it's like it wasn't really cleaned up. You were left hanging. Maybe that's what he wanted.
Did you think you'd be talking about this 30-something years?
No way. No way. Always when I send my credits out, it's interesting. People say to me, what are your credits? And I always tag on the bottom, The Prisoner, because it's television. And there's a sort of snobbery in the movie business about, oh, you did television? When I did television, they went, you can't do movies. You're television. It's like, give me a break. It's the same camera. You just got more money. But I've always been proud of The Prisoner. And it's interesting enough to me is that when I do mention The Prisoner, even the other day, I'm making this movie in Montreal, Canada, which is French-speaking. My location manager went, oh, I remember that series. It was in French, and that big white ball, it was fascinating. We watched it every week. So it had a huge audience. And so I'm glad it's still around. It was a great training ground for me, television, because it taught me how to spend money properly and also how to make it look like a lot of money was spent. And I think that was a success of The Prisoner. We didn't have a lot of money, and with the money we had, we certainly made it look expensive, rich, vibrant, colorful, futuristic. And a lot of that was thanks to Pat's ideas and Jack Champagne, the art director. Yeah, I think those are the lessons I learned, which is to stay with the program and not panic. It's so easy to panic, but you just have to be calm and wait, and it all will reveal itself. Because Patrick knew he had to deliver these shows in 8 days. He had a handshake with Lou Grade, and he wasn't going to lose that friendship. That was a very important friendship, financially, creatively, and it gave Patrick all the freedom he wanted. He had total control, which is very rare. Studios very rarely say to any actor or director, you have total control. Patrick had it. So this is very much his series.
In the village.
What do you want?
Information.
Whose side are you on?
That would be telling. We want information. Information. Information.
You won't get it.
By hook or by crook, we will.
Who are you?
I am number 2.
Who is number 1?
You are number 6.
I am not a number. I am a free man.
Number 2 here. Yes, sir, I am doing my best. He's very difficult. I know it's important, sir. He's no ordinary person, sir, but if I had a free hand... I know, sir, yes. I know I'm not indispensable. Give me number 14. Number 14, the experiment must come forward.
Impossible. I need all of a week.
I haven't got a week.
I haven't even finished testing it on animals, let alone people.
Then now's your chance.
When?
Tonight.
Stop! Don't bring that wet in here. Take your Maxon boots off.
Brainchild of yours had better work, for your sake. If this man is damaged, I shall hold you responsible.
You know I haven't had a chance to prove the drug.
Just get it right, or I'll see that it's proved on you. What's all that about?
Energy from his brain. Thoughts, like sound waves, converted into electrical impulses. And finally, into pictures.
Extraordinary. How very single-minded.
He's not conventional.
I sometimes think he's not human.
It's an anguish pattern.
So this is your wonder drug?
Yes. 3 doses. And that's the absolute limit.
Why?
3's dangerous enough. 4 would kill him. His mind is now yours. What do you want from it?
Why he resigned. I believe that he was going to sell out. I want to know what he had to sell and to whom he was going to sell it. We've researched and computed his whole life, and it boils down to 3 people. A, B, and C. He must meet each one of them. We shall then know what would have happened if we had not got to him first.
Where do you want them to meet?
Paris. They have one thing in common. They all attended Madame Engadin's celebrated parties. Here's some film of the most recent.
Nothing like a good party. I'm sure he'll welcome the change of environment.
Go on, feed it into him. Is he all right?
So far. A moment of truth.
Darling!
Hi.
I'm so happy you are here.
You look as wonderful as ever.
I should, but it costs. Oh, yeah. You look tired, darling. Things are bad?
No, not now. I'm starting a holiday.
Oh, the English holiday? Big boots and fishing sticks?
Not quite like that.
Where then?
Somewhere different, somewhere quiet, where I can think.
Oh, there is no quiet anywhere.
Ah.
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry, darling. I'll come back soon.
Of course, yes.
And remember, you're mine.
Really?
Be horrible to other women.
I promise.
Oh, thank you.
See you now.
I think it's time we introduced A.
His face looks vaguely familiar. What's his real name?
I'm surprised you don't remember him. He made world news a few years ago.
Excuse me. I'll be immediately back in just a moment. I'm surprised.
Not unpleasantly, I trust.
I knew you came to these parties.
And wondered why we never met. She's a tactful lady. She's kept us apart, I think.
Till tonight.
Perhaps tonight is special.
I feel it is special.
To us.
As we are, or as we were.
Oh, I remember him. He defected about 6 years ago.
It's been a long time.
Not long enough.
We used to be friends.
Once.
With a lot in common.
That's in the past.
Then let's think of the future. We're still the same people.
Working for different sides.
Sides don't matter. Only success.
In that case, we should still have a great deal in common.
We do the same job.
For different reasons, yes.
I see you still overrate absolute truth. Whatever way you look at it, we both want to conquer the world. I hope you're happy in your new life.
New life?
Well, news of old friends travels quickly.
In a few hours.
To you and to me, news is like air. You breathe it deeply. We draw it from far and wide.
If it's interesting.
What are you going to do with your freedom?
Go fishing.
Perhaps you're fishing now. What's your price?
What am I selling?
I'm anxious to find out.
Madame's wine. It's always excellent.
If you haven't got a price, you must have a reason.
Not always the same thing. Excuse me.
Go. And we haven't found out a thing. He must not go.
He's only doing what he would have done. I can only create the situation.
Get him back.
It's his dream. It must take its course.
You never could take a hint.
I don't want a hint. I want you. Saving myself money.
Sussy baka.
Paris hasn't changed much, has it?
Where are they going?
I don't know, but it's what would have happened. That's what you wanted.
Well, you're in my country now. The diplomatic immunity. I like travel. It broadens the
You don't shoot me. Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Let us stay on different sides. Please. We see you.
At least I know it wasn't A he was selling out to. No. Let's try the second dose. Let's get on to B.
He must rest first.
How long?
24 hours.
Why?
It's a very dangerous drug. He must have time to readjust.
I meet everybody. I know everything. Who is sick, who's getting better. Be seeing you.
My handbook on social etiquette doesn't deal with this. How does one talk to someone that one has met in a dream?
Look, number
6.
6. I'm usually a social animal, but not now. Another time?
Last week, number 14 was an old lady in a wheelchair. You're new here, and you're one of them.
Your nonsense bores me.
Oh, my mistake.
Don't worry. We all have to make mistakes. Sometimes we have to.
Yeah? Oh, really? Send him in. Come in, my dear fellow. Come and sit down.
I'm not tired. I slept well.
Good. We don't seem to have seen a lot of each other.
I haven't seen very much of you.
I don't spend all my time spying.
Don't you? Your predecessors did.
I have other things to do. Now, all this nonsense about why you resigned. If people can't chuck up a job, things have come to a pretty pass. Do sit down.
I'm still not tired.
In that case, perhaps you'd pour me out some milk. I didn't have a very good night. Thanks.
A pleasure. Come in.
Thank you. Milk is the perfect food. It creates good temper. Would you like some?
My temper's fine. Anyone who had nothing to hide would ask where I got it.
Where did you get it, number 6?
In my sleep.
Oh, you must have been restless. Perhaps you need a checkup.
I have a favorite doctor.
Really?
Number 14.
Sir. Yes, sir. Within 2 days, you have my word. Yes, sir. I realize my future's at stake. 2 days, I guarantee.
darling.
Queen?
Oh, men always evade questions. All my husbands did. Where is my other handsome guest?
Who?
Your old friend. Oh, you were talking to him.
Oh, he's gone.
Ah, just like that?
Yes.
How very rude, without saying goodbye. Anyway, I never did like that man. It doesn't matter.
Madame,
Oui.
excusez-moi.
Oui, je viens, merci. I see you later, darling.
Yes. Goodbye.
Time for B.
She even looks like a spy.
She's a very good one from a long line of spies. He's full of the party spirit, isn't he? Where is she?
I don't know.
She should be there.
I think he's resisting.
Don't you know?
May take longer for the drug to work this time.
And maybe he's seen someone. No. No, that's certainly not B.
I expect she's there somewhere.
I very much hope so.
Oh, Lucette, I was looking for you. What have you been up to?
Nothing, madame. I was helping Louis to collect the glasses.
Ah. What is that, Lucette?
A note, madame. A lady, she gave it to me. No, madame, it's for...
Thank you, Lucette. It's for you. A woman's hand. I'm jealous. What does she want?
I dare not tell you.
Oh. To meet her in the arbor. Oh, my guest at my party in the arbor.
She's an old friend.
Oh, there is no name.
Old friends don't need names.
Then you prefer her to me. All right, I shall go. The party's finished. Enjoy yourself.
I'd recognize that signal anywhere.
Let's get distressed together.
There we are.
You are still the most intriguing spy I have ever met.
It's taken a lot of thought and experience.
Last I remember, you were hiking across the mountains to Switzerland?
I got sore feet.
You should have stayed.
I have no friends there.
Your enemy is a very bad loser. He was here earlier. Does he know you're back?
His chums are all over the place.
He and I had a little ride together. I left him in a most unforgiving mood. He may return.
Oh, being killed is an occupational hazard.
Like a sitting duck.
Don't worry. Tonight's a party.
You used to be a very good dancer.
I still am.
Are you? Sad.
Where are you going for your holiday?
Ah, so you've heard. I don't know yet.
A long one?
Oh, a very long one.
Why?
I need time to think.
I can't bear to think. I can't bear to be alone. That's why I like parties. I drown myself in chatter.
Tonight, there is no need for that. Just dance.
He's far too relaxed.
He may be there, but he's not here. This kind of resistance, you'll burn up the drug in no time. We haven't got long.
Then you'd better do something about it.
The only way to manipulate his dreams is to get into them.
Is that possible?
I was wondering
What?
if we could put words into her mouth.
Oh, how?
We fed him with pictures. Why can't we feed him with sound?
But the voice. Would he hear yours or hers?
That's the danger. If he hears my voice, recognizes it, the shock will wake him. He'll see everything. We'll have failed.
We must make the most of this chance, or we'll never know if it was me.
Worst time to try anything. Just look at the state he's in.
Where's your scientific enthusiasm?
Worst time to try.
This chance, or we'll never know if it was me.
Failed.
We must make the most of this chance, or we'll never know if it was me.
Worst time to try anything. Just look at the state he's in.
Where's your scientific enthusiasm?
What shall I say?
Anything. Try it. Go on.
Shall we have some more?
Shall we have some more?
More?
Champagne.
Champagne.
Not yet. Now get to the point. You said we hadn't long.
I wonder if they will kill me.
I wonder if they will kill me.
I thought you didn't care.
I do.
I'll help you. You know that.
They are here to kill me. They want me to make a deal with you. They want to know why you've resigned.
Go on.
If you just talk about it, they let me off the hook.
If you just talk about it, they'd let me off the hook. Are you shocked?
I'm surprised. I can't believe it's you.
I'm such a mess. I need something to swap. Will you meet them? They're here now.
Are you asking this?
Don't hate me. We all make mistakes. Sometimes we have to.
Have you the feeling that you're being manipulated?
Manipulated?
Who are you?
They're here. If you don't tell them, they'll kill me.
You are not who you pretend to be. Excuse me.
Tell him. He'll kill me.
I don't believe in you.
He'll kill me.
How long has your husband been dead? 4 years.
4 years.
4 years?
How old is your son now?
Son. Husband, yes. But there's no son.
Help me, please.
Help me, please.
What is your son's name? That's an easier question. Thought you couldn't answer.
Come back. Don't leave me. Come back. I can explain everything, please.
Couldn't sleep. What's that number 6 doing? He's always walking. Irritating man. Doesn't he ever get tired?
Be seeing you.
No, I'll be seeing you.
Right.
Gone wrong.
Strength too much for him. I'm going to stop it.
No. It's our last chances now or never.
Your head.
I'll worry about that later.
Haven't they killed you yet? Sorry. Must have been thinking of someone else.
It is so wild, darling. It will end in tears.
All the best parties do.
Oh, it's terrible.
Sheridan? It's dreamy. This is a dreamy party.
Hurry. Let me see his picture.
There isn't one. This is all we have on him. Known to be French, known to have attended Enguedine's parties, probably disguised. Known to have been in contact with number 6.
How do you expect me to bring them together if there's no picture?
It's a process of elimination. C's the only one left. He'll find him.
Well, you'll have to hurry.
Champagne. We all need more champagne. Watch him for me, will you, darling? He's the last sane man in the world. I like sane men. Are you in business?
I was.
You're young to retire.
Age is relative.
Meaning you're free.
Possibly.
I know something, and the pay is very good.
I'm free.
Number 6. I'm sure it's your lucky number.
Les yeux sont faits, rien ne va plus. Six, noir, élément. Comme le service ici.
Can't be seen.
It takes you a long time to sell yourself, darling.
It took a lot of thought.
Come on. This way.
She's fooled us for years, but not any longer.
We're bringing her to the village.
Yes.
You are sure? No change of mind?
No change of mind.
And no doubt.
Not anymore.
It's a one-way journey. You have the fare?
Yes, these papers from London.
If you want to go back, you can. Back for the party. Back to your life. But once through this door, you can never return.
This is what I've been waiting for. What's happened?
He's collapsed. That's it. We've pushed him as far as we dare.
No, I must have that dream back.
You know who C is?
Yes, but I still don't know what he was selling.
And if it kills him?
I should have to take that risk.
Try a heart stimulant. Hold this.
Where are you taking me?
To the summit. To hand over your papers.
Not to you.
Even I work for someone.
Someone else.
Who?
I've never seen him. No one has ever seen him.
Thought you'd boiled it down to 3.
I had. I didn't know about this one. It's great.
I have to call him D.
We're here.
Are we?
Oh, yes. He lacks impressive offices. Good luck.
Aren't you coming?
I must go back. I can't leave a party so long. People will talk.
How will I know him?
He will know you.
I am glad you could come. Where are you? It doesn't matter. I want to see you. I've been dying to see you. It won't make any difference. People who hide are afraid.
I didn't know you existed.
It is often the case with really important people. Anonymity is the best disguise.
You are afraid. This is very important to me.
It is only a commodity.
No. It's my future.
You belong to me now. You were told there is no return.
Not until I know who you are. I've never liked secrets.
Oh, I want to see him.
No one will ever see me.
I will. I want to know who I'm selling out to. We must all know.
All? Aren't you alone?
No. But you are.
Violence will do no good.
It relieves the feelings.
Does it matter?
It does to them. We mustn't disappoint them. The people who are watching. I knew, of course. Now, show them. See?
He knew all the time. He was playing with you.
Your drug failed.
No, he succeeded.
I owe you an apology.
An apology?
Yes. I forgot to give you this. A bargain's a bargain.
Open it, you fool! Open it! I must see what's in it.
He was going on holiday.
I wasn't selling out. That wasn't the reason I resigned.
I tell you the reason we went down there. Patrick had been to Port Miriam, I believe on a Danger Man show, and it was used as a location. And so he was familiar with this location. But Leslie Gilliat, who took over as the sort of creative producer for Loot Grade, was very nervous about this series because he didn't understand it. And he couldn't understand how we could make a whole series in this one little village. So I remember him saying to me, Bernie, we're going to go down and check this place out to see if this can work. So we went down to Port Miriam a weekend with his 16mm camera. And it really wasn't at the instructions of Patrick. It was more about Leslie's nervousness about whether this place could work, which I understand because it's a public vacation spot. And could we take over it? Because the owner, William Clough Ellis, was an eccentric Englishman. And what is Hollywood to him? I mean, he grew plants and made pottery and built this unique and strange village that people paid a huge amount of money to go and stay. And he didn't want us messing it up, you know, with 80 film crew. So I think it's more of an exploratory trip for, as a producer and production manager, to see if we could actually pull it off. We were there for the first month for 4 episodes. And then we would go back for weekends with Patrick on a Saturday and Sunday, or I would go down there with Pat's double, Frank Mayer, who did all his stunt work. And we would shoot bits and pieces for each show, so we probably went back there 2 or 3 times over the course of the first 13 episodes. In the later shows, when we ran out of material for Port Miriam, then we would send a second unit down, shoot with a double for 3 or 4 days of Patrick, and then get Patrick down there on a weekend and just get all his close-ups. And so we were able to maintain exteriors of Port Miriam throughout the whole series that way. I mean, that was an expensive deal for Lou Gray's company because they made all their series out the back doors of Elstree, Borehamwood, or Pinewood, or Shepperton Studios. Nobody ever traveled more than, 2 miles, 4 miles from the studio because it became expensive and dangerous. For Patrick to go 300 miles into the Welsh mountains was expensive. You have to pay all their train fares, you have to ship all the equipment, you have to give them living expenses, everybody gets paid Saturdays and Sundays, whether they work or not. So it's the most expensive way to make any kind of television series or film, in fact. But you can see all the people walking around, they're on vacation. I made a horrible mistake there one day because we had aerial shots to do with the helicopters and the tea room was active and there was all these tourists in the tea room. And I said to the helicopter pilot, just go over to number 2's building and shoot down towards that square. And he flew over that tea room, and the down thrust from those chopper blades hit the chimneys, and all the people inside were covered in black soot. They came running out covered in black. Lots of apologies, lots of dry cleaner bills. And I think Mr. Clough Ellis at that point was a little nervous of what we were doing. But we got over it. So there were a lot of production problems working in this location. When you're stuck on a mountain in the middle of Wales, I mean, if we wanted timber, lumber, we'd probably drive 30 miles to get it. If we wanted paint, we'd drive 20 miles to get it. So, and we had to bring actors in from London. There were no local actors, so every actor had to come down on a train, which took 9 hours. And William Clough Ellis was always around the grounds, watering, pottering. So we were always under his eye. So I had to get everybody to be on their best behavior at all times, especially with film crews who love to throw paper cups down and smoke cigarettes and leave the butts on the ground. And I think we're the pretty untidy group. You know, we sort of take over a location, it belongs to us. Because we treat all locations as if they were our film sets. We forget that they're locations inhabited by other people. We tend to take over. It's very hard to make a series from us and say, hey, can you get out of the way, please? Can you move your car, please? We had to move all these cars. There was nowhere to put them because the streets are narrow. And we had to have all these people running down or marching down or penny farthings riding around or mini mokes. The road was probably only half a mile long, but we made it look like a much bigger village. And the camera sees for miles, so for miles you have to clear everything. It was exhausting. But you know, even the Blue Dome, it's original, it's there. And if you see the series, you go, yeah, they made it into number 2's place. No, we didn't. It was just the way we used what locations were there in front of us, and it worked. There's the village cemetery, which is probably a few miles out of town, near this mountain range. But I don't think we used this location at all. No, we didn't. It's also it's tough to work in graveyards too, because you've got to get clearances from all the families to use the names that are on the gravestones, and some people get offended, especially if you have a rover going through it. So we probably decided not to use it for a lot of reasons like that. Also, now looking at this, I don't like this location because it shows that he's not isolated. It looks like there's civilization out there and mountains, and it's not a good image. It brings back lots of memories. Pleasant. Life has been good. I remember now, I took a land Polaroid camera to take Polaroids. It's quite fashionable in those days, that camera. But that's me running, that's how, I suppose I'm pretending to be number 6, running up to number 2. Pat was always supposed to be running away from the village, so I guess that's why I'm running. This was great fun for the local people. The extras were recruited from this wonderful town of Penrhyn Dydreth, which is the name of the Welsh town that this village is in. And they weren't used to Hollywood. I mean, they thought it was all fun to be strolling around with capes and big balloons floating about. I think they think we were crazy anyway, but now look at this thing. Rover turned up one day on this as a go-kart with this horrible body on it. It looked like a cake on wheels. That's the go-kart. Look, that's me trying to be a contortionist. Look, it looks like it's got It looks like something should be in my bedroom. If that had been in the first show, I think it would have been a big cancellation. But just looking at this tape, it's a beautiful place. I want to go back there for a vacation and have sleepless nights remembering The Prisoner.
In the summer of 1968, American audiences were confronted with one of the most bizarre, mind-boggling series of all time, The Prisoner. This was no ordinary series, for it dared to probe the boundaries of what television's potential could be. More than 20 years after its initial broadcast, people are still wondering and debating, what is The Prisoner? Week after week, the program's main character known
Well, this is kind of shitty. YouTube stopped working. And the playlist didn't have all the episodes, and I'm looking at another playlist and it looks like it's like kind of out of order. So I don't know if I've even been watching them. Have we even been watching them in the right order? Why would somebody do that? Why would somebody make a playlist and take them out of order? I don't know. Oh well. Oh, hopefully this will fucking load. What's going on? Oh, Scuffed Realtor's going live. Oh boy. Alright. Okay, come on. Okay, so this one has Arrival, Free for All, Dance of the Dead, Checkmate, Chimes of Big Ben, The General, A, B, and C, Schizoid Man, It's Your Funeral, Hammered Animal, It's Your Funeral Again. What the hell? This is totally, every single one has got weird, out of order crap. Alright, does this guy have it right? Okay, so this one's out of order too, it looks like. What the hell? Which one is in order? They're all numbered as I'm absolutely confused. There are multiple The Prisoner playlists, and every single one has a different ordering of the episodes. Wait, no, back. No, not watching this. Unless I know. Okay, so this one's different as well. Free for All, The Schizoid Man, General. Dance of the Dead, Do Not Forsake Me, Oh My Darling. It's Your Funeral. Wait. Okay, Checkmate's all the way down here now. Harmony, Change of Mind, Hammer and Anvil, The Girl Who Is Death. Once Upon a Time. Okay. It looks like this might be the right one. Wow. Well, I wish I would have watched it in order now. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we watched Arrival, we watched The Chimes of Big Ben, we watched A, B, and C, we watched Free for All. Did we watch The Schizoid Man? I don't think so. I don't think so. Oh, now I'm confused. This sucks. Alright. Let's just watch. Did we watch the one where he escapes? Shit. I'm confused now. I'm confused. Alright, let's bookmark this. Okay. Where's the one we were watching? This one. Piece of shit. Alright, we watched Dance of the Dead, Checkmate, Giants of Big Ben, The General, It's Your Funeral, Many Happy Returns. A, B, and C. Did we really watch all these? Huh. I don't remember watching these, but I guess we did. Alright. Alright, let's watch Dance of the Dead, Do Not Forsake Me, Oh My Darling. I think that's It's Your Funeral. I think we watched that one too. I'm fucking confused now. I'm so confused. I guess we'll just start with Living in Harmony. I think we've seen all these.
Welcome to Harmony, stranger.
Harmony. Never heard of it.
Not many people have, senor. It's sort of exclusive.
So am I. Where is this town?
You'll find out, senor. It's not wise to ask too many questions here. Hey, hombre. You look like a man who could use a drink. Why you not try this saloon?
I'm Kathy.
Nice name.
Come and join me, Sheriff.
One shot by a bug.
You know me.
You shouldn't have done that. A man needs all the friends he can find.
I don't know you.
I know you. I know all about you. That's why you're here.
Where?
Here. Kathy, bring us more whiskey. He's good. Sensitive. But one of the best. He's mean.
Got plenty of those.
I could use some more. Like yourself, for instance.
I'm not for hire.
You turned in your badge?
And my gun.
What were your reasons?
My reasons.
You've already taken the job. Who with it?
With whom?
Look, I'm offering you a job. Harmony's a good town. Runs smooth and peaceful. Now, let's be friendly.
Red 2. Black 3.
Think it over.
I already have.
And?
I'm moving on.
When you change your mind, I'll be here.
Sold?
How much?
$5,000.
The rest?
They're expensive.
How's business?
Well, stranger, fancy living in harmony?
Not my kind of town.
It's a good town.
Enjoy it.
Why? What's wrong with our town, mister?
Maybe I don't like the way it's run.
Oh, you just do as the judge says. He'll look after you.
I look after myself.
It's a good town.
Keep it.
So you don't like our town, huh? You insult us. Are we going to let him do this? He's insulted our town. Let's get him. Right on.
All right, folks. We'll take care of him. Now get.
Changed your mind yet?
Charge.
Protective custody. Lock him up. And bring Johnson out here. We mustn't disappoint the crowd.
There he is.
Stop it! Stop it! You can't hang my brother. He's done nothing wrong. You promised. Let go of me. Let go of me.
I brought you a drink, kid.
Yes. How about pouring me one? Now, kid. I've got to get back to Slim. I'll drop by later.
What's the plan? All ears. Geiger counter doing cartwheels too. What's that? There.
There's only one way out. As you know.
Let justice be done.
Order! Order! Court in session.
Against you, none. You were only held in protective custody. You're free to go.
The world will see Adam's glory again. The great divide comes.
The people of Harmony against Katherine Johnson. The accused, step forward.
Stop right there, stranger. You approach Adam's holy ground. Why? State
You're accused of aiding a prisoner to escape. How do you plead?
But Judge,
I'm here.
you just said he warned a criminal.
Do you
He was being held in protective custody.
She didn't know that.
to be split in his infinite glory? Or do you seek to tear down his followers?
How do you plead?
I'm looking for someone named Virgil.
Virgil? Yes, we know this Virgil. What do you want with him?
I just need some information from him.
I see. In truth, this Virgil has caused some concern. Some believe his presence is an affront to Adam. Though he came to trade with us on a few occasions, we have had little other contact with him. It was quite clear he wanted to be left alone. You can find him southwest of the crater.
Have you reached a verdict?
I would approach cautiously.
We have, Your Honor.
You find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
I will pass sentence later. Take her away. When you work for me, I'll let her go. You're a bad judge. We'll see. We'll see. Give me a whiskey.
Place to aid you. At cost, of course. Excuse me. All those seeking Adam are welcome. Or is it something more tangible you require? Sure. Let's take a look. Very well.
Hold it. I've been looking for you, kid. Decided to give you your old job back. Go and take care of the jail.
You'll need two of these to take care of a woman.
There's always another time, kid. The kid's real fond of Kathy. But he does tend to get over affectionate.
If anything happens, it'll be paid for.
Nothing could happen if you were sheriff.
Let her go.
Let her out, kid. I said let her out. Don't give me any problems.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
She's safe now. Safe for as long as you work for me.
But enough of that. We don't want to start off on the wrong foot. You grow to like this job, it's most rewarding. No, Sheriff, you won't regret joining my outfit.
You may.
You're just sore for the moment. Here, put this on, you'll feel better. Nothing but the best.
I agreed to wear the badge, but not the gun.
It's a start. You'll find this a rough town without a gun.
Morning, Sheriff. I'm Zeke. I don't carry a gun either. Then I don't need one. No! He's mine.
Boys are just teaching him it's not safe to walk around without guns.
Yes?
Are you hurt?
I think a bit of water won't take care of it.
It's all right.
Get out or they'll kill you.
Last time I got out, they dragged me back. And, I can't refuse that kind of hospitality. Can I? That's one of the reasons I'm aware.
He was a stubborn man, too. I'll be in the saloon tonight. Regulars get the first one.
On the house.
Come on, bartender, let's have some whiskey. Drink up there on me. Come on, Patty. You're gonna have a drink on me.
Well, okay, Will. Don't let your wife catch you.
Take it easy.
Now, just a minute.
Dead. Don't you lie to me.
I'm not lying. I killed him myself.
Did you? Kellogg was ruthless. There's a reason the Institute used him to do their dirty work for so many years. I knew they'd send him after me. Tried to prepare for it. But I still wasn't sure I'd make it. And so you killed him, eh? Well, what do you want with me?
Why did you leave the Institute? I know you came from there.
You know about the escape? But how? No, it doesn't matter.
Will drew first, Sheriff.
I can't go back. Look at me. Why are you even here? What do you want?
Relax. I just need to know how to...
You're the sheriff. It's up to you.
Yeah, you're the sheriff. Time you did something.
Get some guns on.
Get some guns on, sir.
You're wearing a star, you know, Sheriff. Come on.
Nearly impossible, that is. Even if you were to succeed, it'd almost certainly end in your immediate death. What reason could you possibly
Simmer's been
have
talking,
for taking
Sheriff.
that kind of risk?
Yeah.
You're the only man stood up to the judge.
I'm trying to
So
find
we're
my
with
son.
you.
The Institute kidnapped him.
We'll help you clean up the town.
No, I had no idea.
You're
I'm sorry.
going to help me
The
clean up
Institute has taken people
your
from the
town.
Commonwealth
We
in
can't
the
do it by
past.
ourselves.
If your son is one of them, I can understand why you'd want to get in
Neither
there.
can you.
I can help, but
Get
I'm
yourself
going to
some
need
coffee.
something in return.
What do you want from me?
Before I had to escape, I was working on a serum that would serve as a cure for my condition.
That one's on me.
I wasn't able to bring it with me. It's still in my lab, and, well, look at me.
Come over, Jim.
I need it. I need you to find it for me if you manage to get inside the Institute. What do you say? All right. All right.
Jim, you
Let's talk
disappoint me.
details. First things
Choice of
first.
friends.
You know how synths get
Jim,
in and out
old
of the
friends are best
Institute?
friends. What were you talking to the sheriff
Yeah,
about?
they use some sort of teleporter.
Well. Not
Well,
many
if you don't
know
tell
about
me,
it.
I'm sure you'll tell the
Pretty
boys.
closely guarded secret. You've certainly done your homework. It's commonly referred to as the molecular relay. I don't understand all the science behind it, but it works. Dematerializes you in one place, rematerializes you in another. I'm sure it sounds crazy, but it's a reality. The relay
is the only way in and out of the Institute. You understand? The only one. That means you're going to have to use it. Now, have you ever seen an Institute courser?
Sure, lots of them.
Don't bullshit me. More than one of them, and you wouldn't be standing here right now. Coursers are Institute synths, designed for one purpose.
Still, he doesn't wear guns.
Hunters. Operations go wrong, a synth goes missing, and a courser is
But
dispatched.
I told you, the past is
They're
gone.
very good
You'll
at
never
what
make
they
it
do,
with me.
and you're
Be on
going
the
to
edge
have
of
to
town.
kill one.
After the saloon closes.
Let's go. Just point me in the right direction.
Well,
The kid wouldn't be too happy if he saw them with their heads together like that. I think someone should tell him.
Has special hardware that gives them a direct connection to the relay in the Institute. It's embedded in a chip in their heads. You need that chip. But to get it, you'll have to find a courser. Now, I don't know exactly where you can find one. They haven't sent any after me. And sitting here waiting doesn't seem like a good plan. You're going to have to hunt one down. I can tell you where to start and give you some help finding one. But you'll have to do the dirty work.
Okay, let's get to work.
Right. The primary insertion point for coursers is in the ruins of CIT, directly above the Institute. So you'll want to head there. Now, the relay causes some pretty heavy interference all across the EM spectrum. You've got a radio on that pimp boy, right? When you get to the ruins, tune into the lower end of the band and listen in. You'll be able to hear the interference. Follow the signal, and it'll lead you to a courser. Then, you just have to not get killed. Not gonna lie, the odds aren't in your favor here. If you do make it, remember what I said about the serum. I need it badly. I really do hope you find what you're looking for.
Get out of my way. You're crazy. Now get out of my way.
the fastest I've ever seen.
Fastest you ever will see. I just quit.
You aren't quitting while I've got Kathy. Just get it clear. You work for me. Guns and all.
Haven't got Kathy any longer. She's dead.
But he was only supposed to.
Rough her up a little bit.
Hold it. You work for me whether you like it or not. Nobody walks out on me. I'm not letting you join some other outfit. I'll kill you first. You got 5 seconds to make up your mind. 1, 2, 3, 4.
May the divide bring peace.
Adam will lead us all to glorious division.
Shit. It's all set up. Whole time they were playing them, just like all the other episodes.
Interesting. But you can separate fact from fantasy so quickly.
I told you it was different. I knew it wouldn't work. Fill him with hallucinatory drugs. Put him in a dangerous environment. Talk to him through microphones.
It's always worked, and it would have worked this time if you had...
But it didn't, did it? Give him love. Take it away. Isolate him. Make him kill. Then face him with death. He'll crack. Break him, even in his mind, and the rest will be easy. I should never have listened to you.
It would have worked if you had kept your head and not created the crisis too soon.
How could I control it? Tell me that. You said yourself we would get involved and do what we would in the real situation.
Well, then don't blame my methods, just your own darn lack of self-control.
It's all right for you. I have to answer for this failure.
the only one who got involved.
I see a sleeping bag over there.
What are you doing here, number 8? The game's over, number 8.
Kathy.
Boy, it was Spurgin. For real, no cap.
I wish it had been real.
You wait for me, Judge? You wait? Not gonna hit me no more. Not gonna hit me no more. No, no more!
It's time to wrap it up. Hit the sack. Hit the sacky poo. What episode is this?